I'm Charlie. I am a Java user and I make lots of games. I'm going to show you today how to just get started with your game. So first thing you want to do is you want to come in and log into Java. I think it's games now. It used to be Java.fr, but I'm pretty sure it's Java.games. And you click on the new project button, and then you have to fill in some information about your game. So I'm just going to call this my YouTube example game, and then you need to, oh no, I made a mistake there. And then you need to give a short summary about it. This is a game to show YouTube how to use Java. And then you want to also give a little introduction, and this will come up at the beginning of the game. When you start, it will pop up and show the player a little bit about what they're going to be playing. Then you can choose first person or third person. I prefer first person because I just do. It's the type of games I like to play as well as the type of games I make. So that's when I use first person, but you can choose third person. You don't have to worry too much. All of these choices you make here can be changed later. These are not set in stone at all. Don't worry about this episode's part. This is more if you're going to make really, really huge games and you want to split them up into smaller digestible chunks. So don't worry about that right now. And then click create your game. And then you're going to be faced with your first scene. You'll see the orange bar across the top has scene number written on it. We're going to change this, but this name here across the top will correspond with everything that's on the left hand side here, with the menu here. So if you can see, it says there's a little house, and it says scene 1, which matches here, scene 1, and there's a little green flag next to it, and the green flag tells us that this scene is the starting scene. It's where when the player starts playing, this is where they will appear. So let's make our scene. Now, I make my own backgrounds in PowerPoint, which you can do very easily. You can set a background, or Java very kindly has a gallery, so you can choose your own. You can choose a background from their gallery, and they've got some really cool pictures here that you can use for your game. I'm going to choose this one here. This looks quite cool. This cafeteria one, quite like that. That one's quite good. So you click choose. Just a word of warning: if you are going to search through their gallery for an image, you will need to search in French because everything's French labelled. This is Office Bureau, is French for office, and if you typed in office, this will not come up. So you need to search in French if you're going to search. Anyway, I'm going to choose this one. Yep. Okay. Now the warning came up to tell me that my size of my screen was different to the size of the picture, but it's not hugely distorted, so it's okay. I'm going to call this cafe. Okay. Now you'll see that when I called it cafe at the bottom here where it says scene name, it changed it up here in the orange bar and also here on the left hand side, because whatever you put into your game will appear here on the left hand side. Right, so now I've got this wonderful image of my cafe with a printer and some rubbish and a kettle and a table and all sorts of things that might be useful for my game. So I'm going to start making stuff happen in the game. So I've set a background now. Sorry, I should have said that. I've set a background, so this is my very first scene. I'm going to, before I start using the objects, I'm going to add a new scene here with the green button and the button here with the green cross, and it says add new scene, so you click that and you get another one of these. And again, you can pick a different background. So if they leave my cafe area here, they're going to appear in, where should we make them appear if they leave the canteen area? Let's make them appear here. This one's quite, yeah, this one looks quite interesting. Okay, choose this one. Yes. Again, it tells me my dimensions are off, so it will be slightly distorted, but I'm not overly concerned. If you make your own backgrounds, like I tend to do in PowerPoint, you can make the dimensions however you choose. You don't have to use their own. You don't have to use their own pictures from the gallery. Okay, so this is called scene 2. As you can see, it's here. It's scene 2. Over here it's scene 2, and again at the bottom it's scene name 2. So this is now going to be called office. And again you'll see it changed up here and over here. So now I've got 2 scenes in my game. I've got, let's close this. So I've got the cafe scene, which is this one, and the office scene, which is this one. Now, I need a way for them to get from the cafe scene to the office scene. You can test the game at any point here at the bottom. It says test the game. I prefer to do it in a new tab because otherwise you have lots of windows open. So I click on this arrow and it opens in a brand new tab. And you can see I'm in my game here. Now nothing has nothing, you can't do anything in the game at the moment because there's nothing to do. But at least you can see how it starts. I need to get from my cafe scene to my office scene. I need to connect these scenes together somehow. Now there's a couple of ways that you can do this. You can do it with an exit arrow, which Jawa has in there. So if you double click, you'll make a thing called an element. Now elements make up the game. They are your inventory objects, they are the scenes in your game, the scene objects in your game, they are the way you enter or leave a room, all the things are scene objects, parts of your game. So this is going to be called leaving. And when from this drop down here, scene objects, I'm going to choose passage. And this means that I don't need a picture for it. It just means when someone clicks on the object I just made, they're going to leave the room they're in and they're going to end up in the cafe. So they're in the office. If they click on the passage, they're going to leave the room they're in and they're going to end up in the cafe. And you can see it's sort of orangey coloured here. I'm going to put this over the door. The black line across the top of the object lets you move it around. The little white arrow in the corner lets you resize the object. And if you click on the green thing, it lets you swiggle it round and round and make it a different angle. And anywhere else on it brings up all the other options for your object. So I clicked on, I've made this now, and if they click on the door, they'll be taken to the cafe. So let's see how that works. I'm going to move my green flag that I talked about from cafe to office, so they start in the office. Okay, I'm going to restart the game. And as you can see, I'm in the office, and the little door comes up over when I hover over the door. If I click onto that, it takes me to the cafe. Right, so now I'm in the cafe. I also want to get back to the office from the cafe, so I'm going to do the same thing again. Double click to make a new object. It's going to be a passage object, and it's going to take me back to the office. So you can see it's circular now. Let's have a go and see what that looks like. Here's my game. I'm sitting in the office. If I go out the door, I end up in the canteen, and if I go back on the arrow, I end up in the office. I didn't move the passage object around. I only moved it, I just put it here in the middle of the room, which is not helpful. So if they click over here, they will leave if they click at the edge of the room. And again, using the black bar across the top, I moved it up, and the little white arrow resized it. So if they click on the edge of the screen now, they'll be able to leave the cafe and go back to the office. So that's all very well. I've got passageway, but nothing actually happens in my game yet. So I'm going to add 2 types of objects into my game. The first one is going to be the coffee machine. Let's make a new object. So I double clicked on the coffee machine because that's where I want my object to be. I'm going to call it a coffee machine. Oops, my capital letters are on. Coffee machine. And I'm going to use this button here, which is a click zone, which means that I don't need a picture because the coffee machine's already in the background of the scene. So I don't want it to show a picture. So there's the coffee machine. Now, when they click on the coffee machine, something is going to happen. So I want something to happen when they click on the coffee machine. So I click on the, how do I do that? So I click on this coffee machine. You get lots of options here. Don't worry too much. They're just about position, which you can use with the mouse. You don't have to. Layer, which tells you how close or further away it is than the other objects. We haven't made any others at the minute. Your height and your width, all these things you can do with the mouse. Don't worry too much about these there when you're just getting started. So at the bottom here, you've got some options. Interactions is the main one. So when interactions are when you click on the object, something happens. So we're going to add an interaction. We want something to happen when they click on the coffee machine. The conditions at the top here are if you have if statements, if you want something to happen, if they can only use the coffee machine if they've got a coffee cup, for example. But we'll go into that later. I'm just going to add an effect. And when you click add an effect, you get all these lovely options which let you choose from any of these things that you want to happen. A game can end if they click on the coffee machine. Timers, there's sounds can be played, film music, they can get an reward, they can get an object, all sorts of things can happen. But for now I'm just going to show a message, and the message is going to say it is a coffee machine. Oops. There you go. Fabulous. So if they click on the coffee machine, it's going to say it is a coffee machine. So let's see how that works. I'm going to start my game in the office. I think, oh, I need a break. I'm going to go to the cafe. And that's how I get back out of the cafe. I click over this side, but here's a coffee machine. This is a coffee machine. Now, I made that object using a click zone because the picture was already there. But what if I wanted to have them pick something up? So I'm going to double click and do coffee cup. Now I need a picture. Now I have lots of pictures that I use. You will need to save your own pictures. I tend to get a lot of mine from various places. If you go to TPT, they have for teachers they have lots of free pictures that you can just use. Clip art picture you can use, and they're really good. But for now, let's have a look. So I've got some mugs here. There you go. This one's quite nice. And Jawa does this really cool thing where if your picture isn't transparent, it will make it transparent for you. Although it's not the greatest in some cases, but it works quite nicely if you haven't got a transparent picture. I'm just making this a bit smaller here so that it's easier for me to handle, and then I will move it around in the scene. So there's the coffee cup. It's there, and I'm using the little white triangle to move it about. So you can see you can add things in that aren't necessarily in the background to start you off. There's my coffee cup. But I want them to be able to pick the coffee cup up. So if I click on it, and I do that a lot. Actually, if you double click, you accidentally make a new element, which I don't need right now. There's the coffee cup, but I don't want it to just be a scene object. I want them to be able to pick it up, so it's an inventory object. And browse. And I find the picture again and use that. Yep. Okay. So now they can pick up the coffee cup. Let's see what that looks like in the game. Restart. You have to restart the game every time you test it, or it will still be playing on the old options you made. Okay, so I'm in the office, and I click on the door to get out. I end up in the canteen, and I click on the coffee machine to be told it's a coffee machine. But if I click on the coffee cup, I get the coffee cup, and it goes into my bag at the bottom here. You get that little bag symbol, and the coffee cup's there. Okay, so what am I going to do with this coffee cup now that I have it? Well, let's say, for example, go back to the office. Let's say the computer needs to be broken somehow. So I'm going to make a new element that's computer. So I double click computer. And I'm going to make it a click zone because the picture's already there. I don't need another picture of a computer. There we go. Now, when they click on the computer, something has to happen. So I click on the computer. Whoops, I do want it to be visible. Interactions. Add an interaction. Add an effect. Show message, and the message is going to say, "This is a computer. If it was broken, I would be able to go home for the day." So now I'm setting them up to play because I'm giving them a hint that if they break the computer, things will be better. It's kind of like a goal. So there we go. Here is a computer. If it's broken, I'll be able to go home for the day. Now I'm going to add another interaction here because that's if they click on. See here it says click on computer. If I add another interaction, and this one's going to be, I'm going to use the drop down menu and I'm going to combine the computer with the coffee cup. I'm going to combine them together. So if I use my coffee cup on the computer, something else will happen as an effect. And they're going to get another message that says, "Well done. You broke the computer with coffee. Now you can go home." And because they've used the coffee cup, I'm going to make them lose it. So I'm going to add an effect, remove object from their bag. You can see the little bag and the object gets taken away. And they're not going to get the coffee cup anymore, it's gone. And now I also want them to go home. So I'm going to add an effect, change the location. I'm going to make a new scene, which is the same as over here with the new scene button, but I'm going to use it here. And this one is going to be home. It's another part of my game. Let's have a look at their images. Oh, there you go, that one will do. That's a home image. Yep, that's fine. Home. And now they've got to do the washing now they've got home. So they're going to go home. So if they break the computer, they end up going home. So just make sure that works. It didn't seem to for a minute then. So if they combine the computer with the coffee cup, they get the message, "Well done, you broke the computer with coffee, now you can go home." They lose the coffee cup and they get transferred to the scene home. Now, before I show you how this works in the actual game, I want you to look over here on the left. You can see there's the cafe. And the left is all the things you've made in your game. So the cafe has got a passageway between the cafe and the office. It's got a coffee cup that they can pick up. These little symbols at the side tell you what kind of object they are. This one is a passage. The little hand getting something means it's inventory. It means it can be picked up. And the little circles with the arrow means that it's a click zone. In the office itself, there's a computer and a passageway. And then there's the home scene. So you can see all the things that you have are on the left-hand side. So let's have a look what the game looks like. Begin. So I start off in my office. This is a computer. If it was broken, I'd be able to go home for the day. Oh, maybe I should find a way to break the computer. Let's leave the room. I'm in this room. There's a coffee machine. There's a coffee machine. And there's a coffee cup. So I've got myself a coffee cup in my bag right there. I'm going to leave. And now I'm going to break my computer with the coffee cup. "Well done, you broke the computer with coffee. Now you can go home." And I am home. Okay, I hope all of that made sense. I'm aware that I talked very, very quickly. If you'd like me to go into more detail about other things you can do, this is such a really strong, it's a very powerful platform, tool, whatever you want to call it, and for making games. There's so much you can do, and there's many, many aspects to it that I can't cover all in one video. But there's the import scenes, which makes complete games for complete puzzles for you that drop straight into your game, and all you need to do is change the answers for the things you want. It's really a fantastic thing to do, and there's so much that you can make with it. But that's a very brief intro. Bye.